The central railway station was a constant, noisy river of life. Steam hissed, wheels screeched, and 100 hurried footsteps echoed against the concrete. Right there, where the current of travelers slowed to buy tickets or wait for their next connection, sat a man known only as Silas. Silas was a fixture, a shadow in worn rags, his outstretched hand a silent, familiar sight. He survived day by day, catching the few coins tossed his way by passengers in a hurry, or those moved by a quick pang of guilt. He thought of himself as empty, a vessel, waiting to be filled by the charity of others. One blistering Tuesday, a man stepped onto the platform that made Silas pause. This wasn't just a man, this was a titan of industry in miniature. His suit looked like it was spun from moonlight and money. His shoes gleamed, and he carried himself with the solid, unshakable confidence of someone who owned the train, not just rode it. Now there, Silas thought, his heart thumping a hopeful rhythm, is a man who can fill my bowl for a week. He shuffled over, his best, most earnest look fixed on his face, and held out his palm. The well-dressed man stopped. He didn't flinch or look away in disgust. He simply looked down at Silas, his eyes sharp, but surprisingly calm, like deep, still water. "Tell me," the man asked, his voice smooth as polished wood, "do you always just take from the stream?" Silas blinked. That was not the usual script. Usually, it was a quick glance down, a coin clinking, and a swift exit. "Sir?" Silas stammered, his carefully prepared plea dying on his lips. "Have you ever given anything to anyone? Anything at all?" The man pressed. Silas felt the heat rise to his face. He looked at his empty, calloused hand. "Sir, I am a beggar. I live by asking. I have nothing. I can't give." The man gave a slight, almost sad smile. "And there is your trouble, my friend. If you truly believe you have nothing to give, then you have forfeited your right to ask." He leaned in just a fraction. "I am a man of exchange. I invest. I trade. I give value for value. If you offer me nothing of worth in return for my coin, then I have no business transaction to make. I cannot simply give. I must receive something back, even if it's just the feeling of a fair trade." The train whistle blew. A sharp, final call. The businessman stepped aboard, leaving Silas stranded on the platform, the words echoing louder than the departing engine. The birth of an idea. For the first time in years, Silas didn't feel anger or shame, but a cold, hard clarity. He had been asking for charity, but people respond to value. He realized the few coins he got weren't generosity, they were pity payments for enduring his presence. Pity dries up fast. That night, Silas didn't sleep. He paced the small, dusty corner where he rested. "What can I give? I own nothing." His thoughts churned, wrestling with the hard truth the stranger had delivered. If you want to receive, you must first give. The next day, he sat in his usual spot, but his eyes weren't glued to the passenger's shoes. They scanned the world around him, the grime, the noise, the forgotten corners. And then he saw it. Near the embankment where the tracks curved, a patch of wild morning glories clung to a fence. Small, vibrant purple and pink trumpets, desperately beautiful against the rust and soot. An idea, fragile as a spider silk, formed in his mind. It was absurd, yet it felt like the first real thought he'd had in a decade. What if I offer beauty? What if I trade a flower for a coin? He spent an hour carefully plucking a small, perfect bunch, handling them like jewels. When the next passenger paused, Silas didn't hold out his hand, he held out a single tiny flower. "Good morning, friend," Silas said, his voice rusty from disuse. "For your kindness, a small piece of the sun." The woman stopped, surprised. She looked from the flower to his face, then slowly dropped a coin into his palm. She took the bloom with a genuine smile. "Thank you. It's lovely." The change was startling. It wasn't the money, though the coins became slightly heavier. It was the interaction. People paused. They looked him in the eye. They didn't just toss a coin, they engaged. A flower transformed the interaction from a transaction of guilt into a moment of shared appreciation. Silas worked harder than he ever had. He woke before dawn to gather the best blooms. He learned which flowers lasted longer in the heat. He became the flower boy of Platform 3. When he was out of blossoms, the giving slowed immediately. When he had a fresh bouquet, the generosity flowed. He was still asking for money, yes, but now he was earning it by providing something tangible and lovely in return. He was no longer just taking, he was trading. 6 months passed. Silas was cleaner, his eyes held a steady light, and he could afford a real meal every day. One afternoon, as he was exchanging a bright yellow rose for a silver coin, he heard a familiar, smooth voice. My, look what a difference a few petals make." It was the businessman. He was waiting on the platform, leaning against a bench, looking thoughtful. Silas rushed over, holding out a perfect dew-kissed bloom. "Sir, today I have something for you first. No asking, only an offer of thanks." The businessman took the flower, inhaling its scent. He handed Silas a crisp bill, far more than a coin. "You have understood the alchemy. You didn't just change your habits, you changed your mindset. You stopped seeing yourself as a hole to be filled and started seeing yourself as a source of light." He paused at the train door. "Today, you are no longer a beggar. You are a merchant. You run a business." The new horizon. The businessman's words settled deep within Silas. A merchant? He had been thinking of himself as an employee of pity, but he was in fact a sole proprietor of beauty on Platform 3. He owned the idea. He owned the exchange. That evening, Silas did not return to his dusty corner. He took the money he'd saved, bought a small, sturdy wooden cart, and found a spot just outside the station gates, a spot with more foot traffic, where the wild flowers were scarcer. 1 year later, the platform buzzed, but now a small, neat stall stood near the main entrance. It was overflowing with potted plants and vibrant bouquets. A sharp-dressed man approached the stall with a curious look on his face. "Excuse me," the man said, tapping the counter. "Do I know you? You look incredibly familiar." The stall owner, Silas, but hardly recognizable, smiled, his hands deftly wrapping a bouquet in crisp paper. "We've met, yes, twice in fact, right here at this station." The customer frowned. "I don't recall. Where?" "The first time," Silas said softly, looking out at the tracks. "You were a businessman who taught me the meaning of exchange. The second time, I was a man with flowers, and you bought some from me." The customer's jaw dropped. "Wait, you were the beggar I used to walk past?" Silas laughed, a full, rich sound that held no hint of shame. "I was, but I realized that the only thing that kept me a beggar was the story I kept telling myself. The moment I decided I had something of value, even just a single, simple flower to give first, I stopped needing to ask. I stopped seeing myself as someone small. My thoughts created the fence around my future, and my thoughts tore it down." He handed the customer the wrapped flowers. "Enjoy the bloom. It's on the house. A gift from one who understands the power of giving first." As the satisfied customer walked away, Silas looked towards the city skyline. His success wasn't built on luck or a single rich man's charity. It was built on the timeless truth that what you truly believe you are, you become. He thought he was empty, so he was empty. He started to think he could offer beauty, and suddenly the world gave him riches in return. He had grown, not by taking more, but by giving better. This story shows us that greatness isn't about what you have, but what you believe you can offer. It's about shifting from a mindset of need to a mindset of exchange. Like Silas, your potential is always there. Sometimes you just need a little external challenge to trigger the internal massive change. What part of Silas's journey resonated most with you?